All right, hey guys, this is Ben from Flippo. You can't see me today, but who you can see is Cam, who's got a fantastic listing available right now. It's a no show charger. It's a pretty unique. I'll be honest. I'm actually. You might convert me as a customer because I'm pretty intrigued. I might have to buy one of these for myself. But Cam, if you want to just take a second and kind of just tell us, who you are, where you're coming from, what's your background, and kind of just what brought you to start this business. That'd be fantastic.
Well, first of all, Ben, thanks for having me on this. I feel really excited to talk about NoShowCharger, primarily because I've got a long history and background in working with wireless power. Actually, as a kid, I was always the one in the neighborhood who all the friends called over to fix the Sega Genesis if it didn't work. I've always been super intrigued by technology. And by the time I got to college, I was very, very like intent on figuring out a way to get an iPhone. And once I finally did actually get an iPhone, I was just obsessed with figuring out, well, if this phone can do all these cool things, like how do I wirelessly recharge it? And so for, about a year and a half, I partnered up with, we had a really cool tech lab at Georgetown in Washington, D.C. And I partnered up with some of the folks who were in the tech lab there, and then locally, University of Maryland, also Catholic University, some friends at Emory, Harvard, and Yale as well. And I worked with some engineers to try to figure out how I could leverage the power of electromagnetic induction, the same way we use electromagnetic induction to recharge wireless toothbrushes. How could I leverage that kind of energy to be able to transfer power between a mobile device, and some power source? And so I worked on it for a number of years. And then I applied for a patent. And by the time I got out of college, about a year and a half after, I was awarded a patent for this technology. I was so excited that I wanted to just start a company and figure out how I could get this technology on the market. And so I did. I found some investors, Washington Financial Group. They invested in the company early on when it was just a concept. And then I ended up taking the company. I went to China. I went to Hong Kong. I went to a number of other places to work on turning this into a production product. This was the initial technology. And then eventually I signed some deals with hotel chains and others throughout the Middle East and also in Europe, in Holland, and a couple other places. Now, that was my first sort of foray into really venture capital style business and sort of a professional engineering product. So there was a lot of stuff that I didn't know, a lot of stuff that I learned throughout that time. And eventually, the company was sold. And at the end of it, I sort of wanted to understand the path that I took. And over the years, I've always sort of tried to focus on, well, if there was a way to sort of recreate that path and maybe sort of fix some of the mistakes that I had, if there was a technology or some kind of concept that was compelling enough, I would love to do it. And I think this is what sort of motivated me in the summer of 2019. I was redesigning my apartment in New York. And I had sort of fiddled around and made some other wireless tools in the 10 years since I got the patent. But this concept came to me as something that would really, really be a great product and tool for engineers and work from home people. And so I sort of carved a hole in my desk at home and I set up this charger. And after about a week, I started thinking to myself, no, seriously, this would be really great. And so because I had already had that background of working in wireless power for a number of years, being awarded a patent, understanding ways that you could efficiently transfer power through frequencies, things like this, like I felt confident that I could find something out there on the market or something some engineer had built, and that I could leverage my knowledge to be able to add a sort of special sauce to it and make it something that I thought consumers would be super interested in buying. And so that's how we got from 10 years ago to 2019 when this first started in the summer, these concepts. And then by late 2019 in November, I actually had a production product that was ready to go. And to be totally honest, I didn't know exactly how I was going to promote it or get the word out. But I think one of the things that really spurred it and kicked it off was I had a friend who was very close with some NBA players, and one of them asked for a charger. I sent it out. This guy retweeted it, and before you know it, people started going to NoShowCharger.com. And ever since that point, I've noticed that outside of me promoting and talking about this product, it just has this sort of, it has this something to it. It's got this it factor. It's got this lightning in a bottle kind of feel. And that's why I think throughout 2020, it's been as successful as it has.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super curious. So did you kind of have part of actually developing this product that you're selling, or did you find something similar that someone else had developed?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So the way it worked was I've got a couple friends or relationships just from the years of working with people in Hong Kong and contract manufacturers, different suppliers. And I reached out to one of my friends in Hong Kong and I asked, I said, hey, I've seen that you guys have tried to work on this sort of wireless power transfer through objects, like through desks or tables or this kind of thing. And I'm curious to know like how far you guys have gotten. And at that point in time, they told me that they were trying to come up with a technology that could work, but to that point, they had been basically cutting holes in desks and making those chargers available. And so I said, well, if you guys would be willing to share a spec with me, I'd be more than happy to share any ideas. And I think at first they were super skeptical. I think they actually thought I was trying to like figure out how to, I don't know, reproduce their product.
Right.
But I think one of the things that I learned in the first sort of episode with wireless power is that it's sort of many businesses inside of one business. And if you can find a way to not do all of it, if you can find a way to sort of do a piece of it that you're really good at, and you sort of promote it to some market that you think there's, white space around, you can do pretty good. So this time around, I had no intention. I wasn't trying to like take something that they had already built and, put my name on it. I was just saying like, hey, from you guys technology, what it looks like is you're 70% of the way there. And I don't know if you really notice it,
Right.
but with a few tweaks, you could be there. And so they agreed to work with me throughout the summer of 2019. And I mean, literally, this was us going back and forth on WhatsApp messages. It'd be them sending me like, something like, hey, if we use like a different type of wiring inside instead of maybe copper wiring, is that do you think that's gonna impact the efficiency of power transfer? I mean, we went back and forth on all these random ideas. I shared a number of what I think are proprietary concepts around wireless power transfer, and they actually were super open to hearing this stuff. So I say we kind of crafted a product together based on something they had already done. So they had already done, I would say, most of the work, 70% of the work. They just needed some help to get over the hump at the end. And I think I came in and just added some ideas and concepts, and together we tested. I paid to test some prototypes early on, and fortunately enough, those ideas were enough to make it work.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I won't ask any more because it is way above my head. I do not know how any of that works, but I'm glad that you do because it seems like a great product. And that's what makes it special because most people can't get in there and have no idea how copper wiring and power magically goes to your phone.
But that's why I always say, people, if you're just looking for something to compare it to, think about it almost like it's that, wireless electric toothbrush.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's been around for a while. So this technology, as cool and as exciting as it is, I think that, just focusing on those principles are the things over time that's helped me think, figure out how this stuff works.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty cool. You're clearly a smart guy, smarter than me. So appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. Just dumb Ben over here sells businesses. So you're working with this company in China, and then you're also using a third-party logistics company out in the US, right? So I assume you're buying in bulk on some sort of regular basis from China, sending that out here, and then sort of drop shipping from the 3PL. Is that, the gist of it? Is there anything
Yep.
truly?
Yeah. So I mean, I think you've got the gist of it. I mean, I think the concept is, the biggest challenge is sort of organizing when you make the next order. So for instance, with this product, there's actually a number of different pieces. I can give you an example. Got like the box here, the product will come in this box,
Cool.
and when people open it up, you have a plug and you have a charger itself, and it's really thin, it's really small. And we have like, installation guides and stickers and things like that. But several of these pieces are sourced from different places. And so scheduling when exactly you want to begin sourcing. And then once all those products are sourced, they're sent to one central assembly location where they're all put together. And so, I'll order, say, 400 chargers or something like enough supplies to make up 400 chargers. About a 30-day sort of lead time
Yeah.
between sourcing and assembly. And then once it's assembled, it only takes about 2 days to finish assembling and packaging and everything. And then what I get in the end is this product. It's shrink wrapped. Everything's completely, finished. So then the freight comes into Pennsylvania. The
Right.
3PL it's actually all over the country. Got them, all over the world. But the warehouse that I'm using right now is in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It's because I'm in Philadelphia. It was, close to me, so I could
Right.
go
Obviously,
over.
someone can change if they wanted to. They're in California or
Exactly.
wherever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's pretty much the gist. So you order the supplies, they get sent to one assembly location, they get assembled. The final product is actually packaged there, and then it's sent over to the 3PL. And from there, the 3PL sends it directly out to customers as they order on NoShowCharger.com.
Cool. That's sounds good to me. So let's talk just a little bit more about how you're driving traffic, I guess we'd say. You obviously mentioned you're lucky.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was
sure.
NBA player or something like that who tweeted it at one point. So it's obviously a good way to boost things up from the beginning. But what's kind of more normally the way that you're driving traffic, whether that's through Facebook or any Google, I don't know, billboards on the side of the highway? What you doing?
Yeah, sure. So, great question. And I would say that it's sort of multifaceted. I think in the beginning, it was just that word of mouth, primarily because somebody who's basically an influencer, said to their followers, "Hey, check this out." I think that drove some traffic in the beginning, but also, I think like what's been super important to it is that early on I got a review from the Gadgeteer. They found the product and they said, "Hey, we'd love to review it." And then I got a review there, and in December, I think it probably drove $1,000 worth of sales or $800 worth of sales or something like that. And I thought, okay, that's pretty good. So if that's in sort of conjunction with something else, maybe this thing can really start moving. And so what I did was I used Facebook ads before, but I sort of struggled to kind of understand conceptually how they were supposed to work. I felt like I'd done things in other businesses where I'd spent maybe $3,000 or $4,000 and I didn't see the results. So I had been sort of frustrated with Facebook, and I was like, I don't
Mhm.
sort of understand how it all works. But I gave a friend of mine a call who is a ad ops professional and works on social media campaigns a lot. And, he just broke it down for me in a very simple way. You want to prospect a number of people initially who you think might be interested, people who are techies or folks like that. And then out of that group, some people are going to engage on your site in some way, click a button, scroll, go to checkout, whatever it is. And then those people are going to be in a bucket together. You're going to know who those folks are. And then you want to just start targeting people in that bucket or lookalike audiences. I didn't even honestly know what it all meant at the beginning, but I could like read up on this stuff and watch videos and stuff. And so I started adding some Facebook ads into the mix with it. And what I noticed is people would click on Facebook ads, they would come to the site, they would check it out, and they would leave and they wouldn't buy it the first time. And then what would happen would be I could tell they would go to Google and search the product. Now, early on,
Okay.
wasn't much there other than that one article, you know. So they would see this, and I guess they would toss around in their head, hey, you know, is this real or is this like an internet hoax kind of thing, you know? And,
Yeah.
and then I would find that people will come back 2 or 3 days later. You can see all this traffic is direct or coming from Google. I can't attribute it to the Facebook ads directly, but I know it had something to do with sort of getting people interested in the product, like generally branding it. So I think adding those Facebook ads in the mix, in addition to having a review, in addition to me seeing, you know, folks come direct from chats, like so from, you know, Facebook Messenger, things like that. I've noticed that it's got this sort of it's got a sort of like a buzz around it, and it's definitely some of it is because of Facebook, but it's also just because it's one of those things that's kind of viral. When you see it, people pass it along and they want to talk. So you'll notice when you go to Flippa and you take a look at the stats, it'll say something like 20% of the traffic is actually from social, you know, and it's
Right.
because some of it bubbles up from conversations, and then some of it is people Google and then they find it and then they go directly to the site. Over time, on the second half of 2020, I got much better at the Facebook ads. And I learned a little bit about how I could leverage data on the site to sort of feed Facebook ads. And so it improved, like the performance improved a lot over time. But Facebook, the article, and just some word of mouth were things that were really big in getting the sales going. Last point,
Yeah.
I didn't exactly know like what the result would be, but I thought I should take a flyer on more influencers. Look what happened with Baron Davis. He like it just went and money just started coming in. Maybe I should try some other influencers. I would look on like my Instagram messages, and it just every day it's people like, hey, can I get one? Can I get one for free? I'll do a review. I'll do a review. And every once in a while, you have people say, hey, I'll pay you for. I mean, can you pay me for one? I'll do a review for you. But there was just so many people saying they wanted to do a review, and I was just like, what's gonna happen if like, okay, maybe I lose 5 or 10 chargers, right? No big deal. Like that's the worst possibility that could happen. So I started sending some out, and one of the first ones I sent out was to a kid. He's like 19 years old on TikTok. He didn't have that many followers, maybe 20,000 or so. He posts this video, and not even after a week, it has over 1 million views. It's got over 225,000 likes. It's got up to 10,000 chats now on Facebook Messenger shares. So I started realizing, like, this is almost like free, you know, publicity. You know, it's such a viral like product that there's so many people who are willing to like make a trade like that. That I would say now I wish I had started on that a bit earlier in the process, and I think that's something the next owners are really going to be able to take advantage of.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that actually leads me to just the last question I want to leave you with is, you know, if you were going to keep this business for, you know, the foreseeable future, what are some things that you would kind of focus on to keep it growing? Obviously, one is maybe pushing more towards influencers. I don't know if there's anything else.
Yeah, sure. There are a number of things, right? So I would say along with that, it might almost sound counterintuitive because this is a direct to consumer brand, but there've been a number of inbound requests from um, home builders, from just last week from a very well-known um, the designer and builder of like kitchen countertops. So like he'll go in
Oh,
really, his
interesting.
company will go in really expensive homes and install these countertops or bars at restaurants and things like that. And they're
Hmm,
saying, hey, you know, this would be awesome to connect with you guys because we think if we can install these in bars before we go in,
that'd be really.
or you know, we have a client and then we do that, like it'll take the opportunity with them, the business. I don't have the manpower here today to like do it myself, but I think like if you had like one person who could be in charge of like, you know, inbound stuff like that or like business dev around that kind of thing, that's really going to move. And because it's people's homes and businesses, it's a I think it's a revenue stream that makes a lot of sense. Secondarily, I think that Facebook ads work, so I would continue doing that. But I would also make sure I had somebody who knew what they were doing, like somebody who's more of a pro than than say like me. Like at this point, I set it and forget it. I turn the ads on, and then we look at the ads after 2 weeks or after a month and say, things up or are they down? Should we change something? I mean, I have a general understanding about how this stuff works, but I'm not like I haven't worked at any company as a, ad ops person. So get somebody like that who's helpful. And I would say Facebook ads will really work. Also, I've installed tools directly into the storefront, into the site, for Snapchat, for TikTok. I've installed all these tools. So every time someone comes to the site, every time someone buys something right now, all of those platforms are capturing that. So it's an opportunity to even promote this product on those platforms, which I've yet to do, but I think it could be something that gives you another direct to consumer channel. And then maybe the last thing are the huge platforms, the Amazons, the Walmarts, those guys. I just, as one person doing this, and me being involved with other things, I haven't had an opportunity to do that, but I think that would be a great opportunity to expose it to so many more people online using the mammoth e-commerce platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those are great places to be. Those are some amazing opportunities. I love the idea of working with some, I mean, maybe even on like a wholesale level or something with people that are building out bars and stuff like that. That just seems so cool. Like as a consumer, I'd love to walk into a bar where I take my phone, put it on a bar, and it starts charging. That'd be fantastic. Even if you didn't even know it, you just imagine just walking in, putting your phone down because that's what people do, and you're like, oh, why is it charging? That's pretty cool. What's going on here?
Yeah, exactly.
why that little green battery just light up?
Even when I know it in the house, every time I set my phone down, I get a little boost. Like whenever I just see it, like just my phone pop on and start charging. It is it's a gift that keeps on giving kind of thing. It feels cool every time you do it.
That's fantastic, man. Well, appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate talking to you, and thanks for listening on Flip. I think we'll definitely find someone out there who's watching this and is getting as excited as I am, because I think if nothing else, there's some people who want to buy this product. So hopefully they want to buy the whole business and start selling it to everybody else, because it sounds great. So thanks a lot, Cam.
No, this has been great. Thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the business.